Okay, folks, we are live. We got the mic on and everything. Holy smokes, my laptop saying finish update. Never like that because sometimes it can act up. It's thinking in the background or something. But here we find ourselves 12 noon. Tuesday is our day. Blake and I do this every Tuesday, and we do it every Friday. And we just kind of cover the news of the world and what's going around. And kind of like, we take our spoon and we dig it into like a big scoop of ice cream. It happens to be the X platform. A million stories are out there, and we try and cover them. And there's some really big developments in the world stage. Obviously, I mean, we don't need footage, we don't need anything. Just tell me your thoughts on the Trump peace plan. Do you think it'll work? Tell the kids in a nutshell what's it all about, what's happening with that.
Yeah, I think we're on the precipice of peace there. I think basically Trump is laying down the law. I mean, when we watch the walk of Putin coming off the plane, and he's kind of almost nervously putting his tie, making sure it's nice, because Trump expects you to show up in a suit and tie. And I think that was kind of a shot at Zelensky as well, because Zelensky looks like a bum when he shows up, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
That's
he's wearing army fatigues and T-shirts, and, he doesn't look serious. He's not a serious looking leader at all, there to do business. But, it's interesting, when he met with Zelensky, I mean, I saw somebody post that it looked like he was giving Trump fellatio, but that's last meeting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the way he was going. He was just, yes, Mr. President, you're doing so wonderful. You're helping. You're making, just completely a different guy, not being so belligerent.
Yeah, I think that was good. That was good that he didn't do that, because that would have torpedoed everything.
Well, I think, as you said, I think the threat was, well, you're on your own then. No more money, no more help. Russia, have at her. Do what you need to do to end this war fast. And I think the EU would have had no choice but to back off as well, because Trump's, he's got them reined in as well, because they were acting up too. And I think he'll get control of them over Palestine recognition as well, which is simply a support for Hamas. Until Hamas is completely laid to waste. I mean, either retired, permanently, gone forever, never to be seen again. That's the only deal that's on the table. And as long as they keep going. So I think there's a couple things brewing. But yeah. Zelensky and Putin meeting, that's going to be interesting. I think it's I don't think Trump will allow that one to get away on him. Even though the media, it's interesting listening to the media when they're walking off, trying to almost catcall him as he's coming out, which just shows how far our legacy media has collapsed into nothing more.
And how out of touch they are with the situation and the reality of what's actually happening. There was a lot of naysayers following the Putin thing. The world thought, oh, this is it, and nothing happened. Apparently nothing happened. But a lot was happening. They laid down. Trump was absolutely right. He said we made progress. Good things are happening. And now other world leaders are gathered around the table, with the exception of a certain character from Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
But everybody else is going, this is an amazing thing. We're closer. We've seen more progress being made in the last 3 weeks than we've seen in the last 3 years dealing with this Russia-Ukraine situation. Make no mistake, Russia is winning the war on the ground. There is no other ways. You can't look at that any other which way.
I don't think Russia has gone full tilt. They've never gone 100%.
They chose a war of attrition. We never saw carpet bombing. Let's send 500 bombers over and and just keep producing bombers and just obliterate the thing.
Yeah, and I think they're purposely trying to minimize civilian casualties, right? And trying to keep it military strikes for the most part.
Yeah, how do you put it? There was no way they could win that war. The propaganda war, they lost. MSNBC and ABC, CBS, the usual suspects.
BBC, all the European.
BBC, everything else, legacy media. They got the talking point. Russia bad, Ukraine good, money to Ukraine, dark money, black ops, keep it going, fuel the beast. But I think somehow Trump has figured out how to work, do an end game round all these warmongering globalists and kind of twisted them somehow into realizing there's no way out of this thing. Like it's unsustainable. They can do it, but it's not going to happen. The security guarantees. Trump realizes that Europe's got to have some play in there, so he's going to throw Europe a cookie on some level. People are talking. The media wants America to put troops in there so they can be picked off. That's what the media wants. They want dead Americans so that they can say this president failed and you've got blood on your hands, Trump, by putting our people there, our boys and girls in harm's way.
Well, and I think he was being baited into a conflict as well with Iran, and he handled it with precision and didn't take it any further either. And I think that's the same thing. They were trying to get the neocons were trying to get him into getting Americans killed and a reason why to enter the war conventionally with troops on the ground full tilt. But yeah, it's going to be, hopefully they'll be able to settle it between the two of them. But I think Zelensky's the guy out. If he doesn't play ball, he's done. He's finished. I think that's it. I think Putin's going to play ball, and he's going to play ball. Russia wants to make money now. And I think that's Trump's thing. I think Trump's thing is all about, he wants a worldwide free market where people can trade and end the wars.
Solid gold carrot in front of Russia.
Yeah,
solid gold.
Money, right? You can make money again, and I think but Trump's not a globalist and a corporatist in the sense he believes in monopolies. So that's why Canada is not at the table. They're all about the monopolies. They're the globalists. They're the leaders of the globalists now. It's kind of like their last entrenched area. Why Carney, I think, may have been not part of the group. Essentially, I believe Carney has been set back as the receivership general judge for Canada, working with Trump behind the scenes, and defaulted to Trump's leadership now on the world stage. And I don't think he's necessary. We're irrelevant. And I think that's a big part of it for Canada. But yet Canada's said they were putting in billions and billions of dollars towards Ukraine. And let's see how that's going to shape out now. But I think it was more towards the reconstruction side. So anyways, we'll see what this whole deal works out. They still got the big meeting between the two of them. I think it's going to be more of a formality. It's going to be basically a surrender for Zelensky. You're going to lose some lands, buddy. You guys have been antagonizing the Russians for a while, and Europeans have been with NATO and the Democrat Party. We're working together to destabilize the area by saying Ukraine would become a NATO country, which was promised to Russia never to happen. And I think that was the
Minsk Accord. They violated Minsk Accord. That was all part of that. That was all laid out. And of course, the UN was actually NATO. It's that old. It's always the same thing. We go back to that British skit. Mitchell. I think Armstrong and Mitchell or whatever. One of those guys. Are we the baddies? We got the skulls. I mean, this time around, just maybe the West are the bad guys, and that Putin's not necessarily the villain in this play, despite the fact that he did invade, he did it, but there was provocation. 2014, the bombing that went on and the killing of Ukrainian, quote, their own citizens, largely Russian population, admittedly planted there by the Russians, is a very complex a bit of geopolitical maneuvering that has occurred in that region of the world. Nonetheless, this whole NATO, they were baiting the Russians. They wanted this to go down. There's a lot of money to be made in war. There's a lot of money to be made when diseases run rampant.
There's a lot of money to fund. You get to rebuilding nations after they've been destroyed. What? So I think, you're dead on there. I think, but it's been a long fight. I think most people in the world they kind of see the Ukrainians as completely separate Russians, but they're not. They're Slavic. No. They speak the same language, very similar, and essentially you're seeing a Slavic civil war is what you're seeing. That's driven by outside sources in a lot of ways, right?
Well, that's where the UN comes into, NATO, saber rattling. And of course, that makes Russia nervous. And we cannot in the West stand here with a holier than thou attitude. I mean, the whole freaking Cuban Missile Crisis was because the Russians wanted to drop a bunch of missiles on our doorstep
that's right.
on Cuba. And so, that wasn't going to stand. And this is why Canada's in so much crap, because we're not going to be allowed to be a China proxy or a globalist proxy for anti-American sentiment and fervor to fester on the United States border. Not with this president in the White House. We got a great shot here, and I love the comment. This is my favorite picture of Mark Carney. It demonstrates power, conviction, and his global influence. From Lisa McLeod. The coalition of the willing for the Ukraine, and of course, noticeably absent from the photo is, Art Carney.
He's really Art Carney.
I know. But, well, if the shoe fits, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I got one of my own. I'm actually on a rare thing. I'm going to let me get this up here. I'm gone. I got to go to my notification. I put this thing out, and it got a lot of traction. Okay, yeah, this thing's getting a lot of traction. Somebody said, it's like having them at the kids' table.
Yep.
And so I came up with this idea, like playing with their little army men. They're having hot dogs, and they've been put out to the pasture. It's a weird looking table, but it's grok. You get the idea. I just said, two clowns together, in stripe, put them in striped shirts, hat with, pair of jeans with the cuffs rolled up on them, kind of like the Hardy Boys.
Loving the old Converse shoes.
yeah, exactly. That was part of the prompt. Put them in Converse runners. So, but the whole idea was, obviously, it's pure mockery. They're at the kids' table, right? They aren't at the big kids' table. And they're busy jerking themselves off, playing world politics. And one of our people, Anand, I don't know who she is, foreign secretary, whatever, Anand, Canada.
Yeah.
She put out some post saying Ukraine must be part of any negotiation for peace in the conflict with Russia. And it's like, what are you doing, Anand? You're literally shouting into a vacuum because no one's listening to you.
It's true.
You're so far off the radar. Trump's not aware. Mr. President, were you aware that the Canadian Foreign Secretary was saying Ukraine, has to be part of it? I didn't hear. I don't know who this person is. They don't sound very bright. You can just imagine Trumpy Bear giving it, So we're reduced to irrelevance, and so we should be. We have as much diplomatic clout as Fiji. The Fijians are weighing in on the crisis. Okay. And the people are going, what? The tiny nation of Togo.
That's right.
Yeah. The tiny nation of Togo is weighed in. You're a very bad man, Jerry Seinfeld. Very bad man. Holy smokes.
Well, we can make some pretty good deals for coconuts, I guess, for Canada.
Yeah, it's crazy. So sticking with our role in the global picture and stuff. And by the way, folks, we do love America, and I reiterate this every program. Although we cover a lot of what's going on in the States, but I also want to cover a lot that's going on in Canada. One things we got is Pierre Poilievre. I did kind of an end round to get back in power. It's not really the greatest thing, but he's there. He ran one of his party. Okay, tell him, Blake, how it works in Canada, what you can do, and how Poilievre, where he is, and what happened to him, and why do we see him back?
Well, I mean, Don, you have to understand the Canadian system if you're not a Canadian. The Canadian system simply is this, that the party that holds the most seats becomes government, right? And in a lot of cases, also you have an official opposition, which also comes with perks as the leader of the opposition. So in this case, the leader for the government is Art Carney, Mark Carney. He did the same thing. They had a leadership election. He became prime minister without a seat. Somebody vacated a seat for him. He ran in it and won. Pierre Poilievre, during the last federal election, lost his seat in Ottawa-Carleton, which is highly bureaucratized government employee suburb of Ottawa. Lost his seat during the federal election. So a conservative MP to get him back in the House in Alberta also stepped aside so that they could run a by-election, and so he could become back into the House of Commons again as the leader of the opposition.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a gamble, because even though Alberta is a conservative stronghold and it was a pretty safe bet, there was political interference in the form of the they had the long list of 200 people that were going to, you had to pick out 200 names, your guy, and then they simplified that, just write the name of your guy in. And it was an overwhelming win for Poilievre. Do you think the fix was in for Poilievre, just like Art Carney got the fix?
I mean, it was an 80% conservative riding. If he had lost it, it would have been bizarre. I mean, essentially, you could run probably a rabbit under the conservative banner and win there. The point is that he ran in probably the safest riding in the entire country to make sure he gets it. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of opposition to this idea of parachuting candidates in to run where they don't reside. And I notice the Liberals and their propagandists are out there full tilt on X right now, have been saying that Poilievre, is a parachute candidate. It's wrong. They should change this. I'm like, where were they when Carney did that? And Carney became prime minister without a seat. So he was holding the power and the chains of government without being elected by the people of Canada. And the difference is in Canada, we don't get to elect our leader. You have to do it through a political party to get a leader to represent the government. And that's the problem. It's not like the US where you get to vote for your president separate.
Yeah,
Donald. You get to vote your senators separately, and you get to vote your local House of Representatives separately. The problem, it's a winner take all. I kind of describe Canada as whoever you get to vote for your board of directors to run the corporation known as Canada every election. And whoever has the most seats is now running Canada as the board of directors. You get almost no local representation. So let's call it for what it is. They just basically, you want control of government. Yeah. And it's the most seats. They're just peons with numbers tied to them. And that's probably Canada's biggest fault in history.
A big question for you. Is Pierre Poilievre controlled opposition?
I would say yes. And now I'm a supporter of the Conservatives, have for a long time.
Yeah.
But the difficulty is that the system itself is structured in a way that doesn't allow true dissent. They essentially coalesce around the same talking points, just from different angles. So I believe, there's a highly controlled side. It ties to the Laurentian elite. We've mentioned them a fair bit. This is the monopolistic, large corporations, primarily centralized between Toronto and Montreal, that corridor. That's all your market-based supply management control. They call the shots because they're the massive employers. They're the engines that fuel Canada, and they want to maintain that power. And then out east, that might be, what's his name? The big oil company guy, Loblaws as well from back east. And so you see some of these big controlling mechanisms that kind of limit what opposition does. They kind of throw a pillow fight, let's call it like that. But would real change happen under Poilievre? Would Poilievre come out and say, from now on, we are going to be a free market society where everybody's treated equally. We're going to bring in property rights. We're going to change the Constitution. Well, we've seen that happen before under the Conservatives, and Mulroney got destroyed. Right? They tried to bring in the Meech Lake Accord, the Charlottetown Accord. They brought in free trade with the U.S., and it annihilated them, including the GST, which basically brought the Conservatives down to 2 seats in the entire country. So is Poilievre going to make those real changes? He loves to talk a talk. I would hope that he would, but out of anybody we have left, he is it. Now, when we talk about the PPC, the People's Party, I don't know if Bernier's simply he can't get the numbers. He just can't get the numbers. I mean, the only vote that goes to a PPC is anything takes away. It just brings the Liberals into power. But here's
a
vote of conscience for the person voting. right?
Here's
I
the thing.
understand that.
Yeah, I vote PPC every time because I can't vote for this fucker here.
Yeah.
So I mean, this tells you everything you need to know. There they are, both masking up. There they are, both getting ready for Kwanzaa or some fucking holiday.
Yeah.
I don't know the culture. It's their thing. They're pandering to. There they are in the lower right, wearing she's wearing the black and the red. The other girl's got the blue and the gold. And then they both got their little scarves. I don't know. Are they at some sort of kibbutz? I'm not sure.
I think you're up above in the orange. I think it's Diwali.
Diwali,
which is a festival of lights for.
Yeah, I love Diwali. I love the Diwali burger. I tell you, remember the little Wally Gator on the old cartoons? If you're old enough, you'll know. But it's just absolutely nonsense. So he's a pandering fool. And, it's the same thing I had to learn with the American system. There are guys I really liked a long time ago, but I've wised up. Jim Jordan, talk the talk. Like, Jim Jordan, we're going to do this too. Oh, and we're coming on Fox. I'm going, yeah, we got him. We're going to get him. Hooray! And then Trey Gowdy, silver-tongued devil with his silver fox hair. I thought, he's doing it. We're Trey Gowdy. I can't stand those guys anymore because I think they're phony. I think they're just there to say all the right things and do nothing. Say all the right things.
The equivalent of political blue balls.
Yeah. You know what I love? Well, holy smokes. The mind boggles, Blake. I should bet your political blue balls. But, you just see all this stuff. And there's a guy like Trump who's really making a difference. Do you know that violent crime, Fox News put it, I had it out on the X platform. I don't think I put a link for it, but the statistics are all in just after over a week. Violent crime is down in Washington, D.C. Carjackings are down. It's unbelievable. Break-in entries are down. There's really good things happening in that regard.
I think, they said it took 4 days to clean up D.C., something like that. It was just everything. People were actually saying, I think Trump was mentioning in his speech that, for the first time, even Democrats were saying, I can walk the streets at night. And
a lot of them are.
Mugged,
yeah.
Right?
And people are smart, on our side of the aisle. They're getting a lot of black voices, black people, African Americans to say, hey, we love this. This is incredible. More of this, please. And
I can't imagine who would support, doesn't matter what your color or skin, and you want to feel safe where you live, period.
But, okay, as always, we got to contrast America with Canada, and here's where we are. It's just usual nonsense. Now, I don't know if these guys knew each other, Blake, or anything, but the story here, and I'll just make it go big just so everybody can kind of look at it as we roll through it. Lindsay, Ontario man charged after allegedly assaulting a home intruder. So a guy comes in, breaks into your house, a man from Lindsay, facing assault charges, allegedly injuring an intruder at his home. It's about 3:20 in the morning on Monday. According to police, the resident had woken up to find an intruder inside his apartment. The two had, quote, an altercation. Holy fuck. And the intruder suffered life-threatening injuries, police say, and was later airlifted to Toronto Hospital. Police say the resident is facing charges for aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. The alleged intruder, 41, also faces charges, breaking and entering, and unrelated charges. Now, I don't know whether these idiots knew each other, but I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're at home alone, and it sounds like a good movie theme, Donald Trump could make me do a cameo. I'm just thinking outside the box. But, you're out, you're minding your own business, 3:00 in the fucking morning, some idiot breaks in your house, and you bust him up. I just can't see any fine, any judgment. I say, take him out.
The resident is facing charges for aggravated assault.
Right, correct.
And
it's like that same story with in Ontario where the carjacking, right? And the guy came out and shot a gun in the air, and next thing he's the guy being tackled and arrested.
Yeah. So I just think it's horrific, and something's got to change in this regard because it's horrible, and this could happen to any of us. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm sorry, I was repeatedly raped and pistol whipped, And unfortunately, I died, officer. So for the good news, the silver lining is apparently I won't be facing any charges now that I'm deceased. You know, and meanwhile, Billy Boy has my beautiful stereo. I got to admit, it's a beautiful piece. I could see why he'd want to lift it. But, this is just insane. I say you don't want to fuck around and find out. Don't come into my house. Don't invade. If I got a hammer handy, I'll use it. I'm going to take you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be killed. Thank you very much. And if that's what it means, because the cops aren't going to help you.
No.
The cops would probably do.
Well, by the time they get to, even if they get to your house, when are they going to get there? 40 minutes by the time they show up and you're already dead and bleeding. Sorry, I couldn't pull my firearm to defend myself because it would be deemed illegal. And I waited for you guys, but now I'm dead. So it's like, and then the guys who killed you get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah,
and say,
then they're out in a week. Hey,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we got a story just like that. Now, I don't know whether I've got it keyed up here.
Oh, the Broncos, the driver finally got 8 years for killing an entire youth hockey team.
Okay. Oh, well, that's the driver. What about the Abitoke? Abitoke, Toronto? There was a mass murder occurring, serial murder or something out in Abitoke, at Abitoke. I can't say it. Another one of them Indian names, but it's out in Ontario, and the guy is out on bail. After doing mass murder, he's out on bail. Go grab that story. Mass murderer out on bail. This is the absolute state of fucking China right now. Absolutely maddening.
Again, I think it comes down to the philosophy of the wild nutcase progressive left. And the progressives believe this. They believe that all of us are the problem and that criminals are victims, and they're victims because the causation is because society has treated them poorly. So thus that excuses their behavior. And it's an ass backwards reality. Philosophy that's caused this problem.
Okay. First degree murder for violating a bail. That's not the story.
Yeah, but look she's on bail.
Yeah, she's been charged with first degree murder. Yeah, and she's on bail. I know. It's maddening. But the big one, I gotta get. Now you're making me want to go get it. Mass serial murder, serial killer, Abitoke, bail. We'll see what we can get. Outrage over release of murder suspect in Turkana. Holy smokes, what's that one all about? The Nairobi Times. Things are going down in Nairobi, Blake. Okay, so let's go Abitoke.
It's actually pretty funny reading a lot of these news stories about Canada from foreign countries, like India or Africa, and what they write about. Do you think those guys are all sane? They have a sane media.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't find it on X platform. Anyway, I just one in a million stories. Abitoke bail. We'll just see what we got there. When I'm probably spelling Abitoke. I don't even know how to spell it. This is a problem with this country, right, Blake? I mean, no one could do anything. Okay, so boom. Let's keep going. We got other headlines to go into if we can't get that one. But anyway, this mass murder of fuckers out on bail.
Oh, here it is. I found him.
Did you find it?
Teen pleads guilty to role in deadly shooting to second.
Yeah, it's a group of them. He's part of it. It's just freaking.
I'll pop it in the chat there if you want to pull it. But and if you want to post it up, it looks like it's got a paywall, so you have to freeze it before all the ads pop up.
Before the ads come up.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
and I'm using the words from the Canada's worst newspaper, the Toronto Star. So
that's saying something, because we got some real bad ones up here. I mean, they're all paid off, and
you know what they call it? It's a teen. Doesn't say anything else. Teen.
Wow.
It bumps me out of the story.
Okay, so you can't even grab it. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we know what it is. That's the main thing. Toronto Star. Boom.
And then the other one, of course, is the is we mentioned earlier, is the driver who killed in it, again, a foreign driver killed with lack of training and lack of response, killed an entire hockey team in Canada, which made quite a story a number of years ago. Wiped out 16 players were killed in the bus accident with a semi-trailer truck. The Broncos, I think, from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. And anyways, the guy got 8 years, which is the exact amount of years that they're asking for Tamara Leach and the organizers for the trucker protest.
How many kids were killed in that thing, Blake?
16.
I believe it was 16, if I recall off the top of my head.
I mean, that is just nuts, man. Okay, I could do this part of it. I just took a kind of a capture of it. A teen pleads guilty to rolling deadly Etobicoke, I guess, as mass shootings, gets bail ahead of sentence. He gets bail. Mass shooting. I'm out on bail. I'm going to Disneyland. I just killed 20 people. Where are you going? I'm going to Disneyland. Delroy George Park, 61. Seymour Gibbs were killed in the mass shooting at a, quote, casual. Said it's just casual. What should I wear? Oh, just basic black. We're just going to gun down a few of you fuckers. It's just do it casual. We're just going casual tonight at a gather. Come.
By the way, if you read into these stories from especially like the Toronto Star, which is a communist rag, essentially it's Trump's fault that these guns are coming into Canada that's causing these mass shooters. Of course, it's the mass shootings are gang members of mostly newcomers to Canada and their children. So this is not local domestic people who were born and raised here. This is primarily gangs on the streets killing each other. Not, a lot of them are illegals or temporary or asylum seekers that are.
Oh, it's so funny. Like, this fucking idiot, Beto O'Rourke or Newsom. I think it was Newsom. There's a few.
Newsom, yeah.
Newsom. So Newsom's talking about, the red states have all the murders going. It's not our peaceful blue states. It's you Republican red states. What you got to control for, this is basic science, control for confounding variables. My confounding variable for you, motherfucker, is do it by city, and then you're going to find it's blue-controlled cities in red states that where the trouble is, like St. Louis.
Correct.
St. Louis is trouble. Nolens, Louisiana is trouble.
Chicago.
Well, Chicago's Illinois, that's a big blue, that's a big, beautiful blue state.
It's primarily a red state until you hit Chicago.
Well, there's Chicago, but I think
because Chicago population, it controls the state.
Yeah, it's blue because the gravity.
It's like DC where we live. It's primarily conservative until you get into the urban.
Until you get to the Vancouver Island with the big cities here in Vancouver. But my point is that don't measure by state, go by city, and then your argument falls completely apart. It's a straw man argument. It's a very it's almost a textbook straw man argument on old Newsom's plate there. Okay, boy, there's so much going on. Okay, we're being brief. Kash Patel. These are always interesting. There is a thought, Blake, that America is being kind of almost a frog in reverse. We're slowly turning down the temperature on the pot to safely remove you from this pressure cook that you've been in, being cooked within an inch of your life. And so Kash Patel said something very interesting. Clandestine race, did you catch that? Kash Patel just confirmed that the people are being briefed. We're building a case for the American public. We are educating the American public. The people must know why before the arrest can happen. Class, ladies and gentlemen, is in session. How long is that? It's a little too long to play. I don't want to play it. The point is made about that. The people have to be briefed because otherwise it'll come as such a great shock. This is something I think you're intimately aware of. You've made the same case with Carney. If Canada is to move more into the sphere of influence, particularly the sphere of influence of one Donald John Trump, then the optics would be all wrong if you got somebody like Pierre Poilievre or somebody deemed an enemy of the state, some right winger like myself or you. We couldn't carry water for this. But, and again, to reiterate, honor to whom honor is due, this is an idea Blake came up with. I think he's absolutely spot on. What could be more innocuous than Mr. Elbows Up? Art Carney, I'm one of you. I couldn't see it coming either. Well, I'm putting all my money, through BlackRock or whatever the hell he's investing in 93% of the guys' portfolios in the United States. Speak to that, Blake.
Well, and I think to go on the Kash Patel side, I think they're, as you said, they're building up that case so that the public relations side, so everyone has advanced knowledge because they know once those arrests starts happening, if you put handcuffs on Obama, the Democratic cells will go full tilt. They'll activate their cells on the ground, which is basically Antifa thugs and all these people, BLM, get them all going, tearing up the streets, lighting everything on fire. But this way he can say, if they do that, here's the case. Here it is in front of you now. These guys have broken the law against all Americans, not just Republicans. We're talking right, left, center, doesn't matter where you sit on the spectrum. They are breaking the law. So here's the case. They're now being arrested. Anybody rioting now, you are supporting criminals. And that's basically, it basically says you don't have a position to be tearing up streets any longer, which would give you the right to enforce the law on those people without sympathy.
So just seconds ago, we were saying, talk is cheap with people like Trey Gowdy and Jim Gordon, people like Jim Jordan. Jim Gordon is commissioner of Batman. But anyway, Jim Jordan, you get guys like this. But here's something we're seeing. USAID cut off. Act Blue now going to be under investigation, cut off. Yeah. Control of Washington, D.C., cut off. A National Guard from 3 states converging in on Washington, D.C. Tunnels under the Smithsonian, free access to Trumpy Bear. Yep. Things are happening. This isn't just talk. These are actually tangible things that are happening. Yep. And we got other news. I shouldn't have slept on. This is one I've missed on. Can you look up new deputy director, FBI? There is a new co-director, deputy director, and this guy, he's got a baseball bat, this guy. Yeah. He's got his Louisville Slugger, and I think he's somewhere like from St. Louis. He's from Missouri or Arkansas or something. This guy's coming in to work side by side with Dan Bongino, and he is a prosecutor. That's his background. There's a meme going on right now, but I'm an AG. Because we got this party girl.
Oh, that girl that got arrested.
She's a party girl, yeah. And
Rhode Island.
She got her ass arrested because she thought she was, untouchable.
But I'm an AG.
So Trump is moving like a chess player, moving all the pieces in place and arranging the board for maximum effect is what I'm arguing. And like Kash Patel says, we got to inform the people. We got to move our resources into place. We've got to cripple the enemy so that they don't have as many players on the board. We're going to cripple them so that they can't bring those people in and cause trouble when it breaks. Because when the arrests come, and I really do feel, I feel a little bit like Charlie Brown kicking the old football. Lucy lifts it up, get fooled again. Because we haven't seen anything happen, but I think this time we are.
Well, I think you could describe it as being, I call them the neo-Confederates. I think Tucker Carlson's calling them that as well. The neo-Confederates of the Democratic Party are being disarmed before they can fire a shot. Yeah. That's what's happening.
Okay, so we got a naysayer here. This is the kind of thing we're up against. These are, what do you call them? The complainers, that's never going to happen types. Bonnie Patel are adding a new FBI co-director. AG Andrew Bailey, co-director. Now there'll be 2 guys doing nothing, but that's wrong. That individual is wrong, but it's okay. She found the post. That's the point. That this guy is coming, Bailey coming in. There is stuff happening. Those troops in Washington aren't just for show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They aren't there just for window dressing. And the fact that the public is being informed and wakened bit by bit, the leaking of the, not leaking, but actually the declassification of all the Russia gate. And we were told something like 8 years ago that once we're done with the Russia business, that's the first domino. That kick that door open, get your boot out, kick that door, and once you get Russia gate, then we're going to look at the 2020. Then we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to look at what made people sick a few years ago that we can't. To this day, I'm still a little iffy about talking on this platform. So there is a lot of concern when you look at it that way.
Well, and we've seen that constant attack that, you know, the insurrection began in 2016 when Trump was elected. The deep state went into full insurrection mode, and they didn't stop, right? Even with Biden getting power, they didn't stop. And then they tried to gaslight the Trump supporters as the insurrectionists when they weren't. And I think that's this whole thing is finally coming to an end. We're in an information war, and that's basically what it is. It's a propaganda
I think war. That's the other thing. And we're seeing the power of legacy media, its influence being curtailed dramatically. Their numbers are down. They're having a harder time selling the whole.
Their backdoor money sources got closed off. That's what
I'm saying. That's part of it. That's part of the operation. I believe it's all part of this. I think you can't you separate it. I think it's intimately connected with this.
Hey, how you win a war is not just physical contact. It's cutting off their supply chains, right?
It's irregular. What we're dealing with is what's called irregular warfare. And it is to be alive at this time and to watch this stuff unfolding at this time is absolutely astounding. But notice, Blake, what's the rationale? I mean, I think why pick an AG to be the deputy with the FBI? You're getting an attorney general. What are they good at knowing, Blake?
Law and legal.
They know the law. They know we can get them with this. This will stick. What about this? We're thinking of hitting them with that. Oh no, they'll do this if you do that, and they'll wiggle out. So I recommend we charge them with this. Oh, thank you, Attorney General. Your proficiency at American law has helped us out a great deal here.
They've been experienced typically in digging in to get the, ferreting out all the underlings to squeal, right? That's the other thing, because they'll sit them in a room and say, we're going to throw the book at you and you're going to go down for everything. And they know how to play that negotiating tool. Say, okay, well, you only do 2 years, not 10 years. If you tell us who ordered you to do that, right? So they know that game probably more than anybody.
And it's like being at a really big, how do you put it? A big theater, where they multiplex, where they have multiple movies playing at one time. There's a lot going on all at once. Yeah. That's one of the stories. Shut it down. Bombshell FBI timeline exposes political interference and Clinton corruption. Now, I'm not going to go too much on this platform with all that because again, it makes me a little nervous about it all because people were getting booted off.
You don't want to be Clinton-sided?
I don't want Arkansas myself out the door. I love you, Hillary. You're a great lady.
Oh, okay. No. Where did Rachel go?
Yeah, this future
went for a walk in the woods and never came back.
Happy birthday to this future president. But, here's the deal.
Is not suicidal.
I'm not suicidal. Oh, my God. But, all these things are going on. So but we're rehashing and going over these stories where the official narrative was out. And I got some good liberal friends. I love these guys. But they go on and they play the old talking points, but we've never seen it the way we need to see it because things were suppressed. The evidence was that they looked at all that. Hillary did nothing. Whoa, Hillary's emails. There was no there. But there actually was. It was just so well suppressed. Now we're pulling the Band-Aid, the scab. The Dems have got this massive scabs all over them from their corruption. We're pulling them off. And the world there's going to be a laid out for the world to see.
Well,
I
the
will
only thing
say,
I would
yeah.
hope is that down in the U.S. we might see a revolution with inside the Democratic Party. They need to have a change, just like the Republicans are going through massive change with MAGA and the support of the Dems.
Yeah,
need-
but hold
No,
on,
yeah,
hold
we
the
already-
fuck on, hold on, and you hold on
Yeah.
too. That fires me up. I don't give a fuck about Democrat reform.
No.
Oh, we're just going to gay it up a little less. You know, I'm just going to my penis head will penetrate you, but just this much. You can't put a Band-Aid on the Democrat Party. It's wrong from its foundation. Everything about it is wrong. It's wrong. They're the people that brought us the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah,
Here
Jim
to
Crow
tell you, Blake,
and the
it
American
was-
Civil War. Yeah,
They weren't great. They weren't the best organization.
no, not
And
at
then,
all.
you know, and so they done that. What the hell? Slavery, Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dems weren't right.
And how the
about-
hell did they gaslight the world into believing Republicans were the racists and the slavers and all?
You know, and what about the founder of
Well, they just,
Planned Parenthood, that idiot, and the abortion at the,
they
I
just
forget her name.
shone the light on a few redneck hillbillies
Oh,
down in the
shit.
South. and
You get me
said
wound
that's the
up.
whole
So
freaking-
I don't care about Democrats reforming. I think the Democrat Party has to go. I think it's got to die. I think it's got to die completely. And something, if you want an alternative to what, for God knows what your alternative would be, truth, justice, and the American way. Oh, we don't like that. Can we just have a little Hinduism for the love of
Well,
Baba?
sometimes the best way, and I believe this and have for a long time, the best political party is a non-political party of independents that basically represent their the local people they're elected to, and then they vote the conscience of what they've been elected to do, so they're not tied to an apparatus that then controls them, and the corporatization or the monopolization of politics by large entities like the Republican Party, like the Democratic Party, like the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party, because then they become institutionalized.
All right.
then
Sorry. Go ahead, Blake. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I'm just saying
We'll
that would
do
be,
one chapter.
to me, the best way to deal with that. So that way, you always have to have somebody who's going to be questioning government and has no fear of doing that. And I think that's why, we've gotten used to opposition parties, right? Rather than opposition individuals that are just there to question. And that's the job of the legislators and the senators and their job to control government. So government doesn't get control of the legislators.
Yeah. And of course, and this is what we see with these long-term, everybody term limits, right? You got somebody, and you got Mitch McConnell in there. McConnell, he's just sitting there phasing out. He doesn't know what the hell's up, down, or anything. And Biden was the same thing. Just trouble. What do we got here? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, before I do this story, I'm going to take this down for a sec. Well, hold on, make it big. Then I'm going to remove it for a sec. Just remove it. But I'll bring it back up. Now, I'm raised in a Welsh home. I'm not, obviously, you look at me, I'm not Welsh. I got some Scottish, I got some French, and I'm about quarter Indian. Okay, so
you're kind of Métis.
I'm very Métis. Oh,
very Métis. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a half breed. Quarter breed technically. I'm about 20% of my DNA.
Naturally rebellious.
I can barely read. I don't like books, but I'll tell you something, Blake. Anyway, so being raised in a Welsh home, Blake, I learned how to say the town in Wales called Llanfair. They just call it Llanfair, and it's in North Wales, where my beloved family's from, North Wales. And I can say it to this day. I remember as a kid, I learned it, and I could do it. Llanfair poch gwingich, go gerich, Llyn Roboch, Llan Desilio, go. And this is the name of it. And then they shortened it because nobody could say this town.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a joke. They knew it. It means like Llan is like church. Llanfair, it's like the little church down by the lake and by the little white outpost. It's a big long thing.
Yeah.
In Welsh. But that's useless. So when you come in the town nowadays, it's just land fair, LLAINFAIR, land fair, land fair, you can call it. So we got trouble in Canada with all this Indian stuff. And this thing just cracked me up because you know where the Q&E is, the Queen Elizabeth Theater and the plaza out in front of the Q&E. So I saw Larry Norman, the incredible Larry Norman. I've seen some other acts play the Q&E. A great venue.
Yes.
Great venue. Saw Yes there. Okay, so can you let's read the line and then we'll let the guy talk. First Nations are renaming community areas with names most Canadians can't read, let alone pronounce. In 2018, Vancouver allowed two bands who couldn't agree on a single name to rename the Queen Elizabeth Theatre Plaza to Saxan and Swaxan. All right, so play Saxan and Swaxan. Make it big. Make them big.
The name that we chose in Huntkaminam is Shtlachen. Shtlachen.
The name that was chosen by the committee and our council is Hut'ashin. Hut'ashin in Squamish is a new term that we created for this plaza that means a place where people are invited to celebrate.
The meaning of the word Shtlachen is partly, Shtlachen is to invite, and Shtlachen is the place that you're invited to. Shtlachen.
Hut'ashin.
Shtlachen.
Hut'ashin.
The name that we chose in Huntkaminam is
hopefully my comment will be somewhere around. Hold on, what says? What? Oh, okay. I think I have. This is yours truly. I think I have the inflection down on that. Wow. You just that thing. Holy smoke! Just absolutely. It's oh yeah. What a show! In with a little bit, and then we got the Haktua. I mean, come on, we put out the entertainment chops for all you kids. But on a serious note, what do you think? I mean, to me, it's nonsense, right? It's not our culture. See, at least when you do Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll for the people in North Wales, it's in the language of the North Welsh people that inhabit the area. They speak 90% back when it was named. Of the population, at least 90% of North Wales spoke Welsh. And in fact, even today, it's about 75% of the population in North Wales speak Welsh and can read it as well. But in this situation where you've got it so fragmented, where you've got this tribe, even the tribes aren't agreeing because they're within 2 miles of each other. You know this intimately because of the Stolo Nation and the Yale Band. You're familiar with those two bands, intimately acquainted because of your work, etc., history. You've dealt with these peoples. And they've had conflict with one another. And so there's no unified, it's not like there's one Indian language for all of British Columbia. It's so completely fragmented.
There's literally potentially, I think there's something in the area, something 50 plus different dialects of coming off the same language. But you even have like the Dene in the north and who speak the same language as the Navajo. Like they have a shared language, yet there's thousands of miles between them. But you're right. We just had the most recent land claims case where it just came out about the Cowichan now having a piece of Richmond, British Columbia. And of course, the Musqueam band and the Tsawwassen band are not in favor. They're fighting that. So renaming all of these places as part of the Truth and Reconciliation rules under what was a United Nations directive that we didn't have to follow, but we chose to in British Columbia. We had what was called UNDRIP, UNDRIP, and then the NDP under David Eby, when he was the Attorney General, brought in what was called DRIPA, which was the British Columbia law, basically taking the UN law, who was supported by who? China. Brought it in to take control and manipulate British Columbia into the auspices of self-destruction. Because that's essentially you're balkanizing what was a unified province and turning it into a balkanized zone with many different competing indigenous peoples. And then, of course, the vast majority of the population who's non-indigenous except I would argue if you have generations born here, you are now Indigenous. You have no other home. This is where you're born. This is your home.
Yeah.
Right. Where are you going to send us away to? UN? Are you going to send us back to?
Well, we could bumper everybody.
Blood of different people. Where do I go? Do I go to?
Yeah,
North?
but it's like hold on. It's like when you have what is that situation where you go, oh, my seat got bumped. You're at a ticket. You're a ticket holder at a concert, and you go to sit down in your chair, and some fucker's in there and go, here's my number. And that guy goes, oh fuck, and then he's got to take his ticket, and he goes, oh, here's my. Hey, you're in my. You get out of my. And the other guy goes, oh. And then he's got to take his day, and everybody's bumping everybody.
Yeah.
So, well, you're Scottish, so you're going to be back in Scotland. Oh, I'm back.
No,
in
but I'm also got French. I've got
well, you
English.
got options.
I've got Welsh. I've got Irish. I got German.
Hold on,
European
troublemaker. Oh, you're looking for a fight. Listen, troublemaker. Well, you could go. You got options there. All right, you got options. But but this is what I'm saying. I mean, it's just stupid. And then, of course, somebody made the bright idea, of course, that our First Nations people, they came over from Asia because of the DNA, and they know. And you know how they do this? I'll do it. I'm going to tell you very briefly. It's like picture a bowling ball or a little billiards ball, and with a couple of stripes on it. As you go back, you remove the stripe off, and that, say the stripe was added in Philadelphia as you're moving from New York to the West Coast. Each time you go back, you take a little stripe off. That's how it works with DNA. You just keep removing as you go back through history and time till you find those common ancestors and the origin of it all. Yeah. And they find that the native, by doing this process, that they have DNA very similar to people in, I believe it's Kazakhstan of all places, Mongolia, all this sort of thing. And our Inuit people have a lot in common with the Asian people up in Mongolian northeastern Asia.
But I mean, we've got now the science that has shown a super gene dating back to I think they've now got it to one guy who's now responsible for a third of the world's population. I mean, for crying out loud, we're all from the same source. We need to get over this crap.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I believe in people celebrating their culture and their background. That's good. I mean, that's fine. But it shouldn't become a government policy. If you're going to live in a secular world, then you know what? We all have to agree to live with and reside with each other. Then there's a set of rules we all agree on, right? That's how it works in a nation. But if you're going to balkanize and separate and divide like we're seeing in Canada, that's the direction. But I think it's done purposely. I think the world power, Canada's being smashed to pieces. And it's hitting in cultural, it's hitting it in law, it's hitting it at its foundations of its economy, its resource-based world is under attack. Everything is falling apart in Canada because I think it's by design. Essentially, I don't think it can be controlled. The world powers out there are just too powerful for Canada to act alone. That's why Canada needs to make a choice. Are we going to go down this road where China is influencing our renaming of our cultural institutions and our streets and all that? Or are we going to have it here where, we can sell, we can be like Hawaii, right? Hawaii is great. Like, it's got a very good mix. You can learn to speak the language if you want to, but you also can find your way around without, falling apart trying to.
Yeah, I'll say, oh, song, go wanna go, it's a word I sang. Absolutely fantastic. In a world that's gone mad in Canada, thank God, good things are happening in England. And sometimes, Blake, all you need to do is sit back and watch a great historic drama from the BBC. Wait, what's this? Holy smokes, what are we dealing with? Oh, this is coming in from Basil the Great. What's he got here? An Anglo-Saxon noble for the upcoming King and Conqueror series that starts on Sunday. Why do the BBC keep doing this? The Anglo-Saxon is checking his phone for messages.
That's sure historically accurate.
But England's really under the gun right now as well. It's amazing, though. There are some remarkable scenes of British nationalism, patriotism happening. I think it's really fantastic to see Union Jack, St. George, the flag of St. George. And But it's the engineering thing. There is social engineering here with the native names and displace. You'll own nothing, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing in England, where English people that are born and raised are being uprooted. They go, you got to move. We got 6 newcomers that need your flat.
Yeah, that's right.
Bloody hell! How can I have my tea first? No, you have to go. You're just an awful person. Our newcomer needs your lodgings. Anyway, it's just nuts.
For me, there was a question there from Vinyl Gorilla. Keep seeing reports that Western Canada is well on its way to joining the United States. Any truth to that? Yes, there is potentially in Alberta and maybe even Saskatchewan, but more for Alberta. There's an independence movement there that could see within the next year a full referendum. So we'll see how that rolls. But yeah, there is a group that's organizing that with very strong popularity. So we'll see how that rolls and what Carney's going to do, right? Because Carney
is Poilievre going to be a fly in the ointment there? Is he going to be further impedance to getting things done? I think he will be.
And I think he will use it as part of a tool to say how Carney's breaking up the country. He'll blame Carney for it. That's what he'll do.
Will he blame Trump?
No, he'll go after Carney. He's learned his lesson, I think, because his campaign was purposely, I think, torched. When he should have been going on Joe Rogan, when he should have been going on what's his name, a number of the US podcasts, he dissed them all because he was advised not to go on them because of he would get labeled. But that's where the popularity, and who did instead? Bernier. He went on all those podcasts. And when Poilievre should have been going, he shouldn't have been listening to his Eastern elite leadership. He should have went by what he was doing before. But the problem with him, he's a sloganeer. He loves slogans. He's a great orator. When he gets into a debate, an argument, he can tear you to shreds. And he's good with that. But maybe stick with that. If you're real, Poilievre, then do that with Carney. But just to get to the point there is, Alberta could.
I'd say to Poilievre, I say maybe your point would come across better if you had a little outfit.
A little Nomi outfit?
I'm representing all our new coming gnomes, that are all over. John Howard, we're having a world party, but Canada's not invited. The world threw a party, and Canada wasn't invited. That was the theme for today's show. Blake, anything else you want to cover before we go? We could, I'll help cover it because I'm thinking pork. I'm loving my pork.
Yeah, no, it's lunchtime for us, so we don't look good. And no, nothing else to cover. I'm waiting for the Zelensky-Putin meeting. I want to see what's going to happen there. I think we're all waiting to see what comes out of that.
Once those two guys talk, apparently the thinking is that Trump is then going to meet with those two guys, with those two knuckleheads, you beautiful knuckleheads. And then that would be the announcement to the world. Presumably those three will emerge for a beautiful photo op. Look at the little Zelensky. Hi, I'm still getting a few rubles here and there.
He's got his $500 million hidden in the UAE. He'll just disappear.
Wolfie had mentioned that earlier in the Peanut Gallery. He has been funneling some of his money over into United Arab Emirates account, apparently.
Yeah, apparently $50 million a month has been secretly being moved there. Yeah.
Yeah, holy smoke. Well, listen, folks, thanks for watching the show today. I'm going to be back at 4:00 on my other channel. It's just a music channel. We got some news in the music world. The Beatles might be doing something. We'll be talking about that. And what else is going on? Give us a thumbs up here and subscribe if you're new around here. And leave a comment if you're interested in, yelling at us. We don't care. Yeah, zero fucks given. All right, everybody. Thank you, Blake, so much for coming in. And you're in Osoyoos right now. Blake is visiting from Osoyoos, the interior of British Columbia. When do we get you back? Are you going to be here on Friday, or are you still out in the road?
I'll try and make it Friday, but it's my last day here, and I'm traveling back home on the weekend on Saturday. So might or may not, depending on what we've planned to do that day.
All right. Safe travels, Blake. Always safe travels, buddy. Love
Thank you.
this guy. I've known him a long time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy and pleased to have him hang out with me for these talks. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.